Welcome back, everybody, to the show. I hope you're doing absolutely wonderful. We have so much to talk about and some wild stuff, new Epstein revelations, James Comer accidentally revealing something on Fox News about his dear leader Trump, my appearance on Barfight. We finally get to look at clips from a hearing that went wild and more. Let's dive into it. Thank you for being here. If you're watching live, that's awesome. Noonish Eastern time, Monday through Friday, or you can watch it back on the homepage whenever you would like. James Comer was on Fox News, and we are going to kind of talk about a few different revelations relating to Epstein, New Mexico authorities searching his New Mexico ranch because of things revealed in the Epstein files about there allegedly being dead bodies there. You have, as I'm about to play for you, Comer revealing something bad on accident about Trump during a Fox News appearance, and then an inmate who was overheard saying, well, y'all killed Epstein. So kind of just supposedly heard the, the staff at the prison explaining exactly what happened, if we believe the inmate's story. But let's start with this first, okay? I saw this headline pretty wild. James Comer says Trump DOJ asked New Mexico officials to end Jeffrey Epstein investigation, but now it's reopening. Authorities in New Mexico launched a search for this week of a sprawling ranch formerly owned by convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, which has come under renewed interest after allegations surrounding the estate were included in files recently released by the U.S. Justice Department. So they're going to search this, sort of reopening that investigation. There is in the files released by the Justice Department, this in late January was a 2019 email received by a local radio host that alleged that somewhere in the hills outside the Zorro Ranch, 2 foreign girls were buried on orders of Jeffrey and Madam G. That allegation is unverified, but is also not clear to what extent it had been investigated by law enforcement before the recent renewed interest in Epstein. So with that being said, you go, wait, back then they had this tip and now they're searching? Why wasn't this investigated before? Well, James Comer, who I don't think really understood what he was saying, revealed this.
Sounds pretty sick. If what's been said about it's true. What are you hearing?
Well, I'm glad that the New Mexico authorities are going there and searching that property. I know that if no one searches the property, whenever this investigation is finally concluded, people are always going to have questions about whether or not there were deaths there, whether or not there were mysterious surgeries and things like that happening on the ranch. I don't know, but I do know this. The federal government asked New Mexico to stop their investigation, I believe back in 2019, of that ranch. So there's just so many questions about how the government failed the victims and how government failed in trying to prosecute Epstein sooner. I mean, this whole thing doesn't make sense. Everyone has conspiracy theories on, how Epstein was able to get away with it. Was it because he had, powerful friends?
Yeah.
Was it because he was an agent? No, we don't know, but we're going to...
Because he was an Asian. We just don't know if he was secretly Asian, but he didn't look like it. No, he said agent, obviously. I'm going to play a little bit more where Jesse Waters tries to get clarification, because what did James Comer just say? His dear leader was president when the federal government got New Mexico authorities to stop investigating this ranch of Epstein's. And he says 2019. Now, we've learned with a lot of these MAGA Republicans, when they'll accuse Biden's FBI of doing January 6th, even though Trump's FBI was empowered during January 6th, or numerous other examples, Biden's government interfering with the 2020 election, even though Biden wasn't president during the 2020 election. Maybe that's what's going on here, where he says 2019 because he saw that and he kind of is leaking this information publicly, but not realizing he's saying under Trump's watch that happened. Here's more.
Find out, and I'm glad that they're on the ground now in New Mexico searching that property.
Congressman, you said in 2019 the government told New Mexico authorities to stand down investigating the ranch. Do you know what branch of the government?
It was the Department of Justice, I believe, and I believe it was because they I believe it perhaps was the Southern District of New York, because they had taken over the investigation at that point. So again, these are questions that we have. We want to get the answers, but I will say publicly, I'm glad that the New Mexico authorities are on the ground searching that property. I don't know if there's anything there. I don't think anybody knows, but I do know this, Jesse. It's probably never been searched before very thoroughly.
That's crazy.
The house probably has, but the property has.
Yeah, that is crazy. And I guess New Mexico authorities were investigating, and then during Trump's administration, they were asked to shut it down. Now, you could have a less sinister explanation, which is the federal government was taking over. They're going to do an expansive investigation. So we now have jurisdiction. Hand over what you know. We're going to take it from here. But given what we've seen since then, obviously you start coming to more sinister explanations. Not to mention that in Trump's second administration, we saw in public and in private conversations like that, like shut it down, but much more aggressively. Here's Thomas Massie giving even more information about his phone calls with Trump, where Trump declared he would end Thomas Massie's career. And then we're going to talk about what this inmate allegedly heard right after Epstein died.
President got mad at me. You know, you've heard me say this before. He called me on the phone 3 times while I was on the floor of the house. I let it go to voicemail 3 times. I didn't have him in my phone. Technically, I didn't know it was him, but it was all zeros, you know, like, right. And I figured there's only one person can get a phone number with all zeros. So I did call the White.
Wait a minute. Did you just leak his phone number? 000000000, right? Is that many numbers? 3 and then 7? Okay, let's see. Everybody wait.
Your call cannot be
Mr. President?
Please check.
You there?
Dial again.
Okay, so it wasn't all zeros. I thought he just revealed the number.
House back, and they put Trump on the line, and he said, "I'm coming at you like you've never seen. Never in your life before have you seen the way in which I will come at you. I'm more popular than you in Kentucky, and you know it. I'm backing your primary opponent, and you're gonna lose." And then I tried to talk to him about the Constitution and that it required us to vote. And he started screaming at me for 3 minutes. And then he repeated everything again and, hung up on me.
So with that information, that in the modern day, in the last year, he's obviously been calling people saying, "I'm going to come at you," to use Thomas Massie's impression. I am going to come at you. That's what he made Trump's voice. I am going to come at you. And he's threatening people. So that does raise even more alarms as to why in 2019 they were getting New Mexico authorities to shut down their investigation. But now they're reopening it. That is good news. Here's CNN reporting. Julie K. Brown had reporting for the Miami Herald about what an inmate recounted the morning of Epstein's alleged suicide.
In this FBI report that you found, the inmate claims he heard an officer say, "Dudes, you killed that dude." Then a female guard replied, "If he is dead, we're going to cover it up, and he's going to have an alibi, my officers." Is this a...
Okay, wait for a second here. This is something we've been revealing in these files. It's like either that inmate was telling a fake story. Okay, that's an option, because that seems a little on the nose. Or it's real, and crimes are way more overt than what we imagine in the movies. Like in these files, it'd be like, "Yeah, bring me the girl." And you're like, oh my gosh, everyone thought there was going to be code words and all this secrecy, and then they're just emailing about heinous stuff. And then here, you would expect them to be like, "It's so sad that he hung himself and somehow snapped his neck 100 times. And the other guard is like, "It is very sad. We wouldn't want him to sit here for too long. Maybe we move him. Maybe we cover up the body with wrap," right? But instead they're like, "Hey, you killed him. Gosh, we got to cover it up." Is that really how it goes? We're going to say it was a suicide, but it wasn't, because we murdered him. because Trump paid us to. It's like, what?
Credible testimony, do you think? What more can you tell us?
Well, since I wrote that report, we did get some more information, and it turns out that this particular inmate had 18 months to serve on his sentence. And because of his cooperation, he was released. He got his sentence cut, and he is no longer. And it's odd because when you look him up in the BOP's database, it just says unknown. So he has virtually disappeared. So we wonder whether he did either provide them. He must have provided them with some information that was credible, or else he wouldn't have gotten a get out of jail free card the way he did.
In this,
Whoa. That is really notable. That I kind of skipped out. Whenever I see Epstein death related things, I'm normally like, skip, because I feel like we've talked about it so thoroughly, and it felt like one of those things that was just gonna remain what it was forever. Where you go, official story, killed himself. He could have killed himself, but a lot of suspicious things, the orange blob, the this, that, and the other thing. But then you have supposedly an inmate who had reason to be accurate, speaking to the FBI, saying he overheard guards going, "If you're hearing me in 2026, Luke Beasley, yes, we killed him. We absolutely killed him. There's no doubt." And then we covered it up. Like, that they said that explicitly. What happened with that? How, wouldn't you demonstrate that inmate is lying? Or be like, hey, that's big. But who was investigating the suicide? Oh, Bill Barr's DOJ under Trump. I'm not saying Trump did it. I'm just saying, like, plenty of people had a reason to go, yeah. Let's not worry about it any further. Now, could they have meant we came in and he was choking himself? Oops, we accidentally left 14 different outfits in there, which provided enough cloth to hang himself like 12 times. And we didn't, and then we fell asleep. And so we killed him in the sense that, like, because we weren't doing our job monitoring him, he had a chance to kill himself. So, like, we killed him in that sense. So we have to cover up that we were negligent. Maybe that's what they were saying. Is that plot? I don't know. And remember, the DOJ did have to admit that 47,000 Epstein files, including Trump allegations, were removed. You can see reporting on that here.
Overnight, under pressure from lawmakers who said it failed to release all Epstein-related files, the Department of Justice quietly posted 3 previously withheld FBI interview reports from 2019. Those reports contain uncorroborated allegations made against President Trump. Those files were initially missing from the more than 3 million pages of Epstein records released by the DOJ in January.
I mean, this is huge, and I don't feel like it's getting enough coverage, because watch even someone who covers the news being Bill Maher here didn't seem to hear about this bombshell, which is that the DOJ was removing documents with Trump allegations in them.
What do you make of the latest batch of Epstein files released by the another batch?
Yeah.
This is like the McRib.
Yeah.
It's always a new batch.
Well, it's actually reconstituted, right? Because these were files that were in there, and then they took them out, and then they put them back in after they were caught.
Oh. Well, what's in them? I haven't seen the new batch.
Really?
Well, I saw what came out like a week or two ago. That there was, I thought it was millions and millions of pages. I thought that was it.
Well, there were a lot of files that were put back in, but the most concerning one is that there's a woman. She was 13 at the time, and she's older now, but she accused Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump of being untoward, specifically accusing Donald Trump of raping her. And then in the file, it says, according to her, something to the effect of, "I'm going to show you how to be a good little girl," because she bit his penis during oral sex.
No, it's shocking.
It's in there. I mean, it's unsubstantiated.
It's unsubstantiated, but it's really shocking.
So I don't know what all the laughing's about, but you can see that Bill Maher was... by the way, I'll never get over the Bill Maher crowd. It's very strange to me. He'll be like, "That's like the McRib." And they're like, and I really sometimes wish that Jaden and Cole were like their crowd. He just goes, really? And the crowd's like, like, that's the easiest job ever. You go out and you're like, so, a card that some staffer wrote for you. So, what's with these Epstein files? And the crowd's like, wow, that's comedy. But anyways, so he didn't even seem to know about this, and he covers the news, sort of. I don't think this is getting the coverage that it should, given how big of a story it is.
He's doing the rape.
Oh, excuse me. What is this? What is this that I'm seeing?
Somebody's doing the raping, Don. I mean, you know, somebody's doing the. You're saying it's women being raped. Well, who's doing the raping?
Mm-hmm. Who's doing? So I don't know what that clip had to do with anything in particular, but I guess it was in my list of tabs there. So this is a huge story, and it should be covered, and it should be given the coverage that it deserves, and it's a scandal. Any other president, this would be the biggest scandal ever, when allegations against them are literally being removed from the documents that legally are required to be made public. So the DOJ was breaking the law and had to admit to breaking the law to remove allegations against Trump. And that's not the biggest story right now, in part because we're at war. So Trey said Porky Cormer. Okay. Thank you. Bryson said Bam Adebayo in one transcendent night outscores Kobe's shadow. But what does this mean for the soul of our democracy? Ooh, I might not have pronounced the name correctly. I know what you're talking about. I saw like on TV, maybe at the gym while I was pumping iron. I can't remember. That one of the basketball players like broke a record and scored 80 something points in one game. That's incredible. And I think that what it tells you is that our democracy will survive, is what I think. What I think that it tells you is that there will be justice for the powerful associates of Epstein. That's what I think that unprecedented record-breaking means, to answer the person's question. Okay, remember, if you send in comments, as you saw there, I'll read them out. Or super chats, I know. But you know, if you do like the most banger comment in the chat ever and Cole sees it, he might screenshot it. But normally we do super chats, and then when people become members while we're live, we will read out their name. By clicking the join button on YouTube, you can get the daily bonus show. I was actually sitting with someone, this is funny, and I had my YouTube page up, and they were like, whoa. There was like a streak of videos that had a lot of viewership. They're like, dang, that's crazy that on the regular you're getting that. And then they saw the bonus show and the very small amount of views it has. And they were like, wait, why does that one have so few views? And I was like, oh, it's because it's like members only. And they were like, well, still, why does it have more views? And I was like, that's a good question. You got this beautiful large audience, some of you watching live on the segments we have on the channel. So lucky. But then sometimes the best content we do is the bonus show. And it has like 0.001% of the viewing audience of any average video on the channel. What? And I'm not saying for me. Who cares for me? I'm saying for all of you. You're missing out. I'm saying for your sake, click the join button, get the bonus show. Okay, let's talk about this now. Jane, maybe you could do the normal split as we go into, let's do this. We finally get to talk about my appearance on Michael Knowles' Barfight, an event that I've done once before, but this one was different because I got to go up against Michael Knowles again, who's the Daily Wire right-wing commentator, but also Republican Congressman Dan Crenshaw. And the structure of this event is a bunch of Michael Knowles fans go into this bar to be the crowd in a bar, and then up on the stage you have three sort of contestants, and there's multiple rounds where you're debating. This particular one was almost all about the subject of our war in Iran, and then you debate and the crowd gets involved. But then if you're in my position and you're the one liberal and everyone in the crowd is conservative, then they're all like booing you and against you. And then people in the crowd can go up to the microphone and confront you with whatever question they want. And so it's like over an hour. I'll just show you a few select clips and maybe we'll go over more later. This particular episode is behind a paywall, so I got access to show a few clips, but we can only show a limited amount. But let me first show you the walk-in so you kind of get the vibe of what this event is like. It's very rowdy. It's not a normal debate. And then I'll show you this very aggressive guy who had watched the show a lot and really didn't like what I was saying and confronted me over it.
We have two highly informed, highly combative guests. First, he's a big lib that you may recognize from Jubilee's Surrounded, where he took on 20 Trump supporters at once, a tall task for anyone. You may also recognize him from a previous episode of this show. He was so adequate, we brought him back for another round. Please welcome Luke Beasley. We are all.
So as much as I beef with Michael Knowles and don't agree with the politics of the Daily Wire, this concept of a show is really, really cool. And having a live audience there that, especially in, like I said, in my position that's very hostile to you, is extra fun. Knowing any of them can run up and then ask you a question, and then the lights and the music, it's all very exciting.
Also very, very pleased to welcome a first-timer to the show, Congressman from Texas, combat veteran Navy SEAL, and host of the Hold These Truths podcast, a man who could probably use a drink at the moment, Congressman Dan Crenshaw.
That's a reference to Dan Crenshaw the night before this debate lost his re-election campaign. So that's a... No, stop. So it was a weird context for him to be debating with it. So there it is. Now we're going to skip forward. Now you get the vibe, very hype, very interesting environment, strange environment, because we have the mics, but people will just be sitting in the crowd being like, shut up. And only at me, by the way. And sort of heckling, but that doesn't really come through very clearly to the microphone. So then you're just trying to stay focused on what you're debating about, but then you can hear people. And then in the clip I'm about to show you, one of the audience members came up who is familiar with the show, which is different. So he kind of had like pent up anger at me, and you'll hear him say shut the F up while we're talking, which was strange because I was trying to be nice. But this is a weird opportunity, and during the normal debate portion, or what I was going to say was during the back and forth with him, I was struggling to hear what he was saying because he's actually kind of far away. So all of that extra sort of the extra layers to this makes it unique.
Do we have another question?
Yeah. Hey, so my name's Rick. I'm from East Tennessee. This question is for the liberal kid.
Finally, thank you.
I don't know your name. I've seen your videos on TikTok, but my question is, why are you on TikTok? You know,
my name is Luke, by the way.
What else are you going to do when you shit, right? So my question is I've seen you call Trump a fascist and a dictator and an authoritarian, those kind of things. But here you are, like, advocating that we don't take out a dictator. I've seen Kamala Harris. She ran on. She, was against Iran.
You didn't say she was against Iran.
Hillary Clinton was against Iran. Obama was against Iran. All these people
filled in on the context. His point that he's trying to lay out is that he feels it's hypocritical of me to be against authoritarianism or call out Trump for being authoritarian, but then also being against us going to war whenever the country we'd be going to war with has an authoritarian leader, like the Iranian regime, right? Being an authoritarian state, which, as you could imagine, that doesn't make much sense because there's tons of dictators and authoritarians and fascists in the world. It's not realistic or rational or in the interest of our American lives or national security to just go to war with every authoritarian in the world. That doesn't mean that I support those regimes. Pretty obvious, but he sees it as a dunk.
That was against Iran since the 70s. I mean, way before your grandparents were even thinking about you. But they, and here you are advocating that we don't do something that's killed thousands of people. Can you explain that and how that doesn't make you kind of the fascist?
Okay, so if we used our military and both my brothers in the military
to kill someone who's killed thousands of people of his own citizens.
Let me answer the question.
Hey, I don't care about your answer. I really don't, because
don't care about my answer.
But here's
so then what are you asking for?
Here's the problem. He has killed thousands of his own people.
Like. Just
he's killed thousands of his own people, and you are advocating that we don't do something about that.
Oh, we should do something. And I think
okay, then why don't you shut the up?
So weird hostility, brother. So do you support like every intervention that we've done?
Do I support every intervention?
Like in the last 20 years?
No, not every intervention.
Okay, so why not?
Why not?
Saddam Hussein was terrible.
There's disagreements that
Why not?
Had.
Saddam Hussein was terrible.
Well, name one. Which one?
I just said Saddam Hussein.
What?
Saddam Hussein.
Yeah, he needed to be taken out.
Okay, and the war that preceded was good to you?
I would like to see it shorter, but yeah.
Okay, so we're on the same page then. We can think a leader's terrible. I think Putin's terrible, but I think if we try to invade Russia and kill him, that could be very problematic and lead to a lot of American lives lost that we otherwise wouldn't have, which is my main priority, and could cause a further destabilization like we've been referring to before. So my opposition to authoritarianism has nothing to do with when I think using our military is rational and when I don't. You understand that?
Okay, so
so maybe you should shut the up.
Yeah.
So I didn't. It's so weird when you can see in someone's eyes. They're like, "Oh yeah, oh I'm gonna smoke you." You say you're against authoritarianism, but you don't think we should go to war with every single country that has an authoritarian government? Yeah, correct. That's not a contradiction. Okay, we've learned that just going in and invading any country or trying to remove the leadership of any country that we think has a horrible regime often makes it worse, and then a worse regime takes over and there's more destabilization. So it's about what is in the interest of global stability, national security, sovereignty, etc., and American lives, and making sure we don't just throw, as we have, thousands of American lives into a conflict that then we get to the end of and go, wait, what was that really for? What did we accomplish? And we have people scarred for the rest of their life and thousands of civilians dead in these recent wars. And you could even see when I went, oh, so you support every single time we've tried to do regime change? He's like, no. It's like, okay, but that doesn't mean you're defending the regimes that we made the wrong decision to try to topple. So very weird. This is always, when going back and forth with people who kind of try to trap you, always a weird experience when you watch it back and you go, I think he thought that was a dunk. Like, he really believed in his heart. Now, here's a fascinating behind the scenes thing, and I'll show you another clip. I get off the stage. Michael Knowles and Dan Crenshaw sort of go off to leave. And so then I just go, that'll be fun. Me and all these different Trump supporters walk up and talk to them. And I walk up to him, and he was actually really nice afterwards. And I get it, like, you're on camera and you're shut the F up. Like, it's a sort of a performance. Doesn't offend me. But talk to him, and again, very nice. And then he said, and this is the first time I'd ever heard this before, that he can't stop watching the show, doesn't agree with what I'm saying, but really likes the way that I deliver my commentary. And I was like, I've never had someone say they just can't stop watching the show and they don't like what I'm saying. That's a weird convergence of statements, and kind of the best compliment you can get. Even someone who hates my views is addicted to the content. Okay. Hey. And then this is me giving sort of my opening statement on the question of, is Trump's war with Iran a violation of his campaign promises?
Topic. It's a claim going around social media at the moment. I think at most one of us on this panel agrees with it. President Trump's strike on Iran is a betrayal of America first.
Yeah.
You agree?
100%. And everyone in this audience knows that. Trump ran explicitly on getting us out of these exact type of regime change wars. He flipped around for some reason. He's literally doing the model that all of the people who supported him said was the opposite of what he was going to do. And this is not surprising. He's done, I know Dan supports Trump a lot, you do too. Yikes, given his record. He's failed over and over on his own campaign promises. I didn't like what he ran on, so it's not surprising that I don't like what he's doing. But anyone in this audience or the two next to me, the fact that you still support him after he's lied about his affordability agenda. He literally said specifically, by the way, I'll loop this back, but that energy prices would be cut in half in his first year. It's been a year. That didn't happen. Household electricity bills have been increasing significantly. Health insurance premiums skyrocketing. You voted for a bill that Trump introduced. That
I thought we were talking about Iran.
Hold on. They gutted social programs to funnel money to the wealthy. The point in illustrating that is to explain it's obvious that the character of this man would be that of someone who would violate his own campaign promises on Iran and anything else. And a regime change war in Iran that he can't even exactly articulate what it's for is the epitome of a contradiction from his promises.
All right, Dan, is the Iran strike a betrayal of President Trump's promises of America first?
Just to be fair,
no, because I've been... Sure, first,
this doesn't pause well. Just to be fair, I'll play some of this, but it moves a little slow. Like, I tried to get in my points real quick. Dan moved a little slow with his explanation, which is that he supports the war, but here's a taste of it.
First of all, people need to define America first. And look, even in our own party, some are saying it's a betrayal of America first, because some people, I think, defined America first as pretending there's no outside world. And saying, like, well, if we don't solve every single problem here at home, then there's no way that we can do anything abroad. But that's a contradiction in itself. It's like saying you can't walk and chew bubble gum at the same time. America first means America leading and remaining prosperous and maintaining our prosperity through that security umbrella that we have created since D-Day. D-Day is, I think, one of the most important days in history because it's the day that we decided that we would lead the world. And when we started leading the world, I mean, things got a little bit better. If you look at pre-World War II history and post-World
Okay, so you get the... He goes on to say he does believe there was an imminent threat. He does believe there was justification. Obviously, Iranian-backed militias and groups that Iran has supported have been responsible for American deaths. They're arguing that is the justification we need to go to war and that the nuclear program was being rebuilt, right? The things that we've reviewed the claims of. And while, again, the Iranian regime is terrible and supports the opposite of what we do, is it in our interest to go to war, costing already American lives, already a bunch of civilian lives, for an objective that we can't exactly define, that will almost certainly leave a more destabilized Middle East, the same regime, just the son of the previous supreme leader, and even more hostility, but then them just seeking to do even more damage to us. No, I don't believe that. They say, yes, we're gonna strike our way into them going, okay, we want to work with you and we want to negotiate and we want to have a nuclear weapon, right? That's the disconnect. That's kind of what he goes on to lay out. That's the best that I could explain it in a fair way. Then someone comes up to the mic to ask Michael Knowles a question, but he says something so silly that I jump in and answer it myself.
I kind of see this following the same process as the tariff war, where we're taking, as Dan and Michael said, taking everybody off the table so we can go face to face with China, with everybody else in the world on one side and then China on one side. And that seemed to be working pretty well. Isn't this just sort of like the kinetic version of that? And if that's the case, I mean, we can't say that openly because that'll freak out the Chinese and there's face involved and all that.
So hear what he's saying. The guy asking Michael Knowles a question is just assuming the premise that us going to war with Iran is like the kinetic version of us going to trade wars with everyone, which has brought our allies closer to us and alienated China. That's what his argument is, that Trump's trade wars have consolidated our power economically and alienated China's. And so this, in his mind, is like the military version of that, which is that we consolidate power militarily, geopolitically, and alienate China on those fronts. When if you think for a second, you go, isn't everything we've been seeing after Trump's trade wars that our allies are being pushed away from us and into China's hands?
But like, if that's the case, then doesn't that pretty much just justify what we're doing, right?
Wait, are you saying that our tariff trade wars on our allies has pushed our allies closer to us and not China?
Yeah, and also you're getting distracted because the main topic is actually about.
You just referenced tariffs as substantiation for your point.
That's called deflection,
and
right?
We know very specifically that
Also,
our allies.
I'm asking the question about Michael.
We're all confused right now.
And we actually are doing a lot better in the tariff war than
our allies are intertwining more with China because of our trade war. Because now we're not a reliable trading partner.
That's manifestly
literally what's
false. They're
happening.
bluffing.
They say that specifically.
What deals are they signing?
Canada
Yeah, Canada's signing. That's the name of the
is
deal.
entrenching trade deals with China.
Oh, cool. Canada. They've got like a GDP of like what?
I can't hear you.
30 billion? Like North Carolina?
Is specifically saying we have to isolate ourselves from the United States and not be as intertwined as we used to be.
Man,
That's,
that's a real bummer.
But you can
We're going to lose their hockey team too.
I can't hear you.
Michael, my question was for you, sir. But
you were wrong. But go for it.
Well, the question.
Okay, it's funny. He builds his argument by citing the trade war, and I go, wait. The trade war would contradict your argument because it hasn't worked for us in benefiting us geopolitically against China. And then he goes, you're deflecting. What? You brought it up, not me. Look at this. This is from Canada's government. Canada secures renewed market access with China to boost exports and strengthen economic collaboration. March 4th, 2026. This was like the day of our debate or the day before this is happening. And he goes, they're bluffing. Weird. And then the Epstein files come up.
Yeah.
Okay, this is from Kevin Brait. Is the only reason we went to war to distract from the Epstein files?
Yes.
You thought we could get away from the Epstein files for one episode, Michael? No.
Oh, obviously that is the only reason, right?
That's another example in my little list of ways that Trump has violated his campaign promises. You remember when he was saying he was going to drain
about the Epstein.
When he said he was going to drain the swamp, and then now not only is he covering for pedophilia.
Sorry, let me go back a little bit. Did you see me? Wait, dude, did you see me like, the hell is Dan talking about? He would lean back in his chair and say stuff, and I'm like, what are you saying? I can't hear you.
It's another example in my little list of ways that Trump has violated his campaign promises. You remember when he was saying he was going to drain
about the Epstein.
When he said he was going to drain the swamp, and then now not only is he covering for pedophilic elites, but he's also the most corrupt president in American history. It's just true.
It's like he ran on releasing the Epstein files, and then he released 3.5 million of them in the largest declassification in American history. It's like totally crazy.
He still has not released millions, and the DOJ. Listen to this. Y'all justify this. I'd be curious to hear.
Yeah.
The DOJ removed documents that had allegations for FBI interviews with alleged victim who accused
Does it
Trump
occur to you
of,
that it's an
of
ongoing
rape.
investigation? Does that occur that it's probably an ongoing investigation?
Trump said no. The FBI shut down the probe. They said it was over. They literally
you're talking about
they literally ended the investigation. That's why
the supposedly lurid file of the teenage girl who says she was raped by Trump.
And why?
No, sorry, she didn't say it, but someone said
Trump
it about
is
her.
That's
what you're talking
about. A victim did 4 FBI interviews, and those documents disappeared from the site. How?
I don't know. I voted to release the Epstein files.
But hold on, Luke. What happened in that case?
Wait, I asked
Did anything ever happen in that case?
I asked first.
Okay.
Is it acceptable for if you're
Biden release the Epstein files?
We're ongoing investigations, like Luke, you said. Trump's the one who.
Luke, I'm happy to answer. You know what I think should happen in that case?
Transparency.
I think in that case it should be tried in court. What if I told you it was, and then it was thrown out of court?
That's not the one.
And then what if I told you it was brought to court again?
That's not.
And then it was brought to court a third time and a fourth time and
You're
thrown
talking
out.
about something different.
Yeah.
So we got that.
You're talking about the.
Wait. Why? Who emails that much?
True.
Who the emails that much about crazy stuff? That's insane.
It's insane.
Boomers who don't understand the internet.
Yeah. Do we?
No.
All right. Now, who got the VIP?
That bell is so sinister. All right. So do you know how, I don't think you realize, I didn't even quite realize it until I watched it back, that was the biggest self-own I've ever seen in my whole life. I bring up the removed interviews with an alleged victim of Trump's. Michael Knowles goes, oh yeah? Well, that case of that 13-year-old who said that they were abused by Trump, that was brought to court and then they ultimately dropped the case. Reportedly because of threats. he's talking about a different girl. He's talking about a different accuser. So he thinks he's dunking by going, oh, they tried to bring a case and they ended up having to drop it, so that's not a big deal. That's not the one we're talking about. So he just demonstrated there's so many by getting mixed up which teenager at the time, adult ones they were accusing, that is being referenced and was being removed from the DOJ files. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. And then it's weird how he went, Trump ran on releasing them and then he releases millions in this huge declassification? Are you really going to play that dumb? First of all, as I explained, hey, there's this controversy of the files that have been removed to protect Trump. Hey, they still haven't released millions. But also, are you really going to credit Trump with being forced into releasing the files? There was a veto-proof majority. They could have overridden his veto if he tried to veto the bill. And that was finally when the DOJ started releasing stuff and then have done it terribly and are still actively breaking the law and not releasing enough. You're giving him credit for that after being forced into it? That doesn't make any sense. And that's what bothers me about someone like Michael Knowles is he's good at what he does. Like, he is good at speaking and debating. But the willingness to just be so performatively dishonest is kind of heartbreaking because you interact with him right behind the scenes or even on the stage, and you're like, oh, wow, okay. Like a normal guy, he's trying to make good points, whatever. But then you really think about one of those moments and go, oh, he is smart enough to know what he's doing and how he's being dishonest, but he's still choosing to. Ugh, that's a bummer. But I'm probably going to go back. It's kind of fun. Josh Johnston said, Luke looking so swole, he must be pumping dark matter. Maybe we don't need the B-roll up. Well, I mean, thank you, Jaden. Oh my gosh. So that was such a dark one too. Luke looking so swole, he must be pumping dark matter. I appreciate that. You mean in the video? Was I frame maxing Dan Crenshaw?
I'm mogging you right now.
Is there any former Navy SEAL? Okay. Thank you so much. Japaco became a member by clicking the join button. King Boom did as well. Tomlia said, yeah, he should shut up. Shut the F up. Great job, lol. Thank you. Exile 2 Feathers says, if that maggot is watching, middle finger. Aw. Hey, if you're MAGA, watch it. I think eventually by osmosis, you will think that you're watching it because you disagree, but you just can't get enough. But the next thing you know, you're going to be voting for, Kamala 20. You're going to be voting for Biden Kamala 2028. And then Chitty Girl, member for 3 months, said, I wish I would have been as involved and aware at your age, Luke. So proud of you. Keep spreading truth. XO, you do a great job. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah, getting this passionate this early has been one of the greatest gifts of my life. Obviously, at this age, already being able to run a business and grow a big audience and do events like this and sort of know what I'm talking about. And it's been a curse. Okay, so greatest gift ever. And when you're 13 and you're already obsessed with politics, that definitely has some downsides. I was watching presidential debates when Jaden was riding his bike. Okay, one was healthier than the other, I can say for sure, and it was the bicycling. While Jaden was having one girlfriend after another in middle school. Gosh. All right, let's talk about this now, and then we'll check back in with the audience. Kristi Noem, as you know, is out at the Department of Homeland Security, a pretty disastrous tenure. She, in addition to the administration at large, took the public perception of Trump on immigration all the way from his most popular issue down into the dumps. And now even on that issue, that was one of the things he won on, he's underwater in public perception and in polling. And apparently the Trump administration and Republicans are getting ready to get a big old bus and they're going to get a big old deportation bus and they're going to throw Kristi Noem under it. The knives are out, reports the Daily Beast, for fired Kristi Noem and her rumored lover, What's his? I always forget his Lewandowski with the Department of Homeland Security insider warning. So this is leaks out of the Department of Homeland Security saying they're preparing for investigations, maybe even criminal prosecutions. Homeland Security Secretary Noem was ousted last Thursday, the first cabinet member fired in Donald Trump's second term after a disastrous tenure. Noem floundered when put on the spot in that hearing that led to her ouster over the fatal shooting of 2 American protesters by federal agents. You have the questionable no-bid $220 million ad campaign. And this is another thing, is they've been giving out these huge contracts to like people associated with Noem, friends of hers or friends of Lewandowski's, not doing the normal bidding process and then just funneling money to their buddies so that she can ride a horse for $220 million. I saw someone put on like a ranking the huge movies that had budgets smaller than her $220 million ad budget, which is crazy, just to make her, you know, walking around with ICE and saying, you're going to get deported if you're undocumented. She was humiliated by the outsized role played by Corin Lewandowski. The source was blunt about the pair's prospects on the contracts especially, telling the Daily Beast, quote, expect scrutiny on the warehouse contracts, the ads, the plane purchasing, the cars, everything. The insider added, if the rumors circling Washington are true, Democrats will want hearings and maybe even prosecutions, and there's going to be no Republican with a brain who comes to their defense. This is someone inside of
a brain
Noem's organization. Their overall assessment was blunt. They're effed. Meaning Noem and Lewandowski. So whenever they're looking for a figurative head to roll, it's going to be Noem's and Lewandowski's. And it's going to get real bad. And apparently, you would probably think this all came down to the killing of American citizens. It doesn't seem like that's what it was. But Republicans are now rallying to go, yeah, let's put everything on Noem and let Democrats investigate her, let her get prosecuted potentially, because then that can keep the heat away from us and Trump. But I'll remind you, I saw John Kennedy reflecting on the moment that reportedly pushed Trump over the edge to fire her.
I did my job as a senator. And one of the things I asked the secretary about was...
I mean, that's the most John Kennedy thing ever. When the word I and asked are one word. Asked. Listen to this.
And one of the things I asked the secretary...
Right? This is, if you've grown up in the South like we have, this is quintessential. Asked. Because you don't got time. You got to go milk the udders. You don't got time for I and I asked. Honey, I don't got time for I and I asked. I got time for ass. You understand? And mass. That's my ass.
One of the things I asked the secretary about was the fact that she spent $250 million putting ads out.
I don't got time for ass, but I got time for Sorry, I don't know why that's funny to me.
Putting ads out across America, $250 million, in which she was prominently displayed. They looked a great deal like political ads. And I found that breathtaking. And when I see what I perceive to be spending porn, I don't care who does it. I'm going to call it out. I'm pretty cheap when it comes to taxpayer money. I squeak when I walk. And that's what happened. It also came out.
I don't know what that means. Yeah, he's going to talk about a phone call that he had with Trump where Trump was like, I swear I didn't sign off on those ad campaigns. But it is true. She was using these ads to bolster her own public profile. That's the reason Trump fired her. Trump doesn't want people using their position to make them more rich or famous. That's only what he gets to do. And the only thing I would take issue with is spending porn. I don't think we need to put porn. Let's not put porn into the spending category, but yeah.
The secretary denied it, that these were no-bid contracts, and then apparently some of them did not go to people whose names she got off ZipRecruiter, they went to political fronts. And we talked about that. And I was stunned when she answered categorically that the president approved every single bit of it. Later that day, I got a call from President Trump. He was mad as a mama wasp. He said, Kennedy, I hope you understand that I had nothing to do with this. And I said, well, I do believe you, Mr. President.
Asked Mr. President if he was as mad as a mama wasp. Now remember, the reason we poke fun is not because so many people I know here speak exactly like that. It's cute, it's folksy, we love it. Okay, it's nothing to do with that. You highly intelligent people speak like that. It's great. Some people will write in and be like, oh, no, that's not what we're saying. It's that he does a shtick, and we've seen the clips of him when he doesn't talk. So he's doing it to seem relatable, like a mama wasp. And I do think that's worthy of mockery.
He was not happy. It was clear to me after that conversation that the secretary's time at the department was limited. That to be blunt, she was dead as fried chicken. And
so that's enough. That's enough, John. You get 2 per interview. You get 2 per interview. You had the one about your shoes squeaking. You had the mama wasp. You don't also get as dead as fried chicken. Because now it's obvious you're doing a shtick.
You're Willie Nelson high.
As dead as fried chicken? Is that what he said?
That to be blunt, she was dead as fried chicken. And we talked about a few names that he might consider. And then what happened. It's not personal.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, there's that. Now, we do need to talk about, speaking of hearings and immigration, DHS, you have David Beer, who's the Cato Institute Director of Immigration Studies, clashing with John Kennedy. So John Kennedy in that Noem back and forth was in the right, and he exposed something that led to Trump firing her. So good for John Kennedy. I respect him like a horse that you're standing behind, whatever. Okay, so because if you don't respect it, it's gonna kick you in the groin, and then you're not gonna have little Louis running around one day. You hear? Ass horse. Oh my gosh, I don't know why that one made me laugh. Ass horse, don't kick me. Woo! Yeah! Okay, I've ridden a horse, I've hunted, I've milked a cow, I've been on a farm, I've scooped cow poop, so you all can back off. David Bear appeared, and now John Kennedy is the antagonist in this next hearing, where David, the Cato Institute's like a right-wing but libertarian think tank, and David was in this hearing exposing a lot of the absurdities of Trump's immigration policy by explaining the economic benefits of immigration.
Don't you think your hyperbolic statements undermine your credibility?
What hyperbolic statement did I make?
On February the 11th, 2026, you posted on Bluesky.
So the app is called Blue Sky. The app is called Blue Sky. But stick around for this, because I'm going to show you. David Bear does a really good job from a right-wing libertarian perspective at advocating for immigration, including the positive benefits on the deficit. And you can go follow David on Bluesky if you would like.
2026. You posted on Bluesky, quote, my words, or your words, not mine. The Democrats' video telling service members to ignore illegal orders didn't go far enough. They should have also urged them to refuse unethical orders, whether illegal or not. There are many things deemed legal that are still obviously unethical, and everyone should hold themselves to this higher law, end quote. Did I read that correctly?
I believe you did. Do you disagree with it? You think people should do unethical things in their capacity?
On December the 31st of 2025, you posted in front of God.
But wait. Do you disagree with what I said?
Let me finish my question.
I'm sorry.
Answered, sir.
Sure.
In front of God and country, you said, quote, they, referring to Republicans, think they can troll their way into us accepting ethnic cleansing, end quote. Your words, not mine. Did I read that correctly?
That was in regard to a Department of Homeland Security post about advocating 100 million deportations. That is what DHS has tweeted from their own account. 100 million deportations would be ethnic cleansing. You would be removing 1/3 of the country. So yes, there are people within the Department of Homeland Security.
And you don't think this is hyperbolic? Give me 30 more seconds.
I think advocating 100 million deportations is
I'm having fun here,
ethnic
Mr. Chairman.
cleansing.
On February 5th, you said the following on Bluesky.
Your time's up.
Whatever he thinks he's doing gets wiped out when he says Bluesky. Am I reading that correct, Mr. Bear? Is your last name Bear like Bear Rawr? Because a bear won't eat a fish if it's not in the water. You ever heard that, David? Oh, no, I can't get it out. Kicking it out. I asked horse, don't kick me. Is horse the horse's name? Apt, ain't it? Oh, you know John Kennedy names his dog. Wait. Names his dog Pup. You just know it. You know it.
You said the following on Bluesky.
Your time's up.
These are all good, but there's no enforcement mechanism. I'm sorry. Let me try a better one. On March 2nd, you said, quote, if you rule against Trump's population purge agenda, no hyperbole there, the nativists will name you, threaten you, and come after you. These judges are much braver than the ICE agents who hide behind masks while violating the Constitution.
They are much braver. They put their names on their rulings and they stand behind their constitutional rulings. When I talk about population purge, I'm talking about the fact that they're trying to deport U.S.-born citizens, people born here. They are trying to deport them as well. So it's not a mass deportation agenda. It is also an agenda intended to reduce the population of the United States, including U.S.-born people. So these are not hyperbolic statements. I appreciate you reading my account. I appreciate your research.
Here's the good news.
What planet did you just... Wait a minute, Mr. Chairman. What planet did you just parachute in from?
No. Hey, guys.
You trigger my gag reflex, Mr.
Beer. And that's not saying a lot, because I'm not gay. Even a toothbrush gets me gagging. To be clear, you trigger my gag reflex, but that happens a lot. I can't hold back my gag, because I'm not gay. Someone, Test2 Baby Spy wrote in and said, all I ask is that you give $5 of the super chat to clean, beautiful Jaden. Oh, curveball. Okay, and then let me show you. Okay. All right. Hey, let me show you a Democrat giving Bear a chance to speak.
Country than they contribute. Now, Mr. Beer, you've looked at this question very closely. Could you just respond to what I think is the second big lie?
Yeah, over the last 30 years, we looked at all the government budgets, federal, state, and local combined. Immigrants reduced deficits by $14.5 trillion, which is about a third of all of the total deficits during that period of time. And it's easy to understand why, because they work at 12 percentage points higher than the the national average. They use less benefits because they're subject to constraints, unique barriers to applying for those benefits, in particular Social Security and Medicare, where those are by far our largest programs, and they're not eligible for those at all if they're here in the country illegally, or if they came legally and they don't have a sufficient work history to qualify. So you have clear reasons for believing that they are reducing the deficits and debt. They are a benefit.
So he was assessing, the Cato Institute found, he said $14.5 trillion reduced in deficits from immigrants, both legal and illegal. And of course, caveat time. Yes, ideally, we'd only have lawful immigration. We'd have a lot of lawful, well-regulated, secure border, we know everyone who's coming in the country, we know everyone who's working in the country. It was all perfect, right? Yes, that's ideal. And we should assess the numbers as they exist, which show the vast benefits we get from lawful immigrants and even undocumented immigrants, and how they contribute more in taxes and into funding these programs than they get back from them. And so we're actually making money as a country, a net benefit from immigrants. And that flies in the face of they're draining all of our resources language that comes from the right wing. Now, just stick around. You're going, Luke, this is getting long on a click away. No, watch this, because you're going to have fun with it. I promise. Do you remember? I have an update on this guy, but I have to do a little flashback so you remember who we're talking about, because we're in this little hearing. I'm updating you on some hearings. You remember this guy who Trump nominated to be the Assistant Secretary of State to international organizations, was trying to place Mr. Jeremy Carl into a high position of power at the State Department. But as he was trying to get confirmed by the Senate, a lot of his previous social media statements where he articulated white nationalist beliefs, that there's a white genocide in America and they're trying to purge white Americans and white culture. And so he was asked about those things. And you've never seen someone be able to defend their views less effectively than this guy. And so let me remind you of that and then give you an update on what happened to Jeremy. Let's just be honest, right? If you make the argument that I think the phrase he used was a cultural genocide against white people in America, if you make a big, bold claim like that, you gotta be ready to back it up. And he was not. He wasn't even able to define what white culture is. Let's watch.
Tell me how you define white identity and what you think is being erased about white identity.
Certain types of Anglo-derived culture that comes from our history. There's,
like what?
Let me think about this. Senator, I would say if you were to look at the book by one of your former Senate colleagues, Born Fighting, about the sort of Scotch-Irish military culture and certain, pride that went with that would be one example. Obviously, you could have sub-elements of that culture. You could have Italians, you could have Irish, and those are in many ways more.
But you're worried about white culture. You're not worried about, you're now retreating to ethnic identity. You don't.
So they're trying to replace whites with immigrants. He goes on in trying to define white culture by citing people who immigrated here and are not white cult. It's like you're describing that even the label you're using is a convergence of people from different ethnic backgrounds. Just the quickest pause to request that you click the subscribe button, the simplest, easiest, freest way, completely free, to support the work that we do. Right below the video, click that subscribe button. Back to the video.
Speak about ethnic identity. You speak about white identity. So tell me the values that stitch together white identity and that make it different than black identity.
I would say that the white church is very different than the black church in terms of its tone and style on average. Foodways could often be different.
Expand on that. I just think that the church has a different tone in black churches versus white churches. Okay, first of all, that's called differences in churches. There's also a very different vibe and tone in this white church versus that white church, if you can describe it that way. Even though If it's just white people, maybe you go, why are there only white people at this church? But I know what you mean. A predominantly white church versus a predominantly black church. But that's the same thing between a predominantly white church of this sect versus that sect. And like, I've tried during a Catholic mass before to go, amen, which was totally fine in one of the more non-denominational churches I was in. In the Catholic Church, they didn't like it. They didn't like it at all, okay? Just kidding.
Yeah. And those
music could be different.
And those are being erased.
Music can be different. Well, if you look at the Super Bowl halftime show, which was not in English.
So our ability to access white churches or white food or white music is being erased?
I am concerned with the majority common American culture that we had for some time that through particularly mass immigration, I think has become much more balkanized, and I think that weakens us. And again, I'm not running away from that comment. I'm not apologizing for it.
Well, I'm way over my time. I think you're struggling to answer this question, right? Because underlying your beliefs is a sentiment that white culture is just simply better.
Well, definitely, he's arguing that, which if you're going to argue that, then say it. Say what it is. He said, did he start referencing food? Sir, don't you start your argument about white superiority with food, okay? It's not gonna work, I can tell you. Or music. It's so funny because the things that he's referencing are absolutely reasons why America is so special and unique. But inherent to that is a convergence of ethnicities and cultures, not an exclusion of that diversity. The reason why I love all these different American food options, and by American I mean foods you commonly find in America, is because none of them are American foods. They're all different foods for all different places and all different backgrounds, and then it blends together and you get like Tex-Mex. What? You get to fill your belly with melted cheese and then have fajitas? Yes, please. Okay. Yeah. Or music. American culture and cultural landmarks, movies, music, innovation, are globally dominant. True. There's no entertainment. There's no, as I referenced, all the things I'm saying, music and culture, that is as present globally as America's. But what defines that is very necessarily immigrant-based. Don't cringe, it's true, is melting pot, baby. That's why we have the best in all these different categories. Because it's like you smush it together and then the best part of it comes out at the top. It's so cool. And you try to say food. I went to, and I say this with love to our whites out there. I say it with absolute love. I went to a place that was mostly white in a different part of the world. I tried to eat the food. It's just potatoes in different configurations. Have you heard of paprika? Have you heard of a spice in much in your life? Oh my gosh. Oh no, but I'm not going to actually say specific food. Some of you will get mad. The food was essentially, here's what your mouth tastes like if there was more mass in it. There was nothing. So I say it with absolute love. We love our white Americans. We love our black Americans. We love et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But if you deny how the convergence of identities has defined American culture in a major way, then you're kidding yourself. So that was a part of our segment covering his hearing that went on, and it was just brutal. He's like, looks like he's tearing up the whole time. He can't defend his arguments. How are you going to say there's a white genocide in America and then literally not be able to define white culture? And that's why I played so much of it. I can't redo the whole thing, but it's just so wild. Like, what's going on in his brain? And the first thing he starts to cite are groups that weren't considered white initially and immigrated here. And he's like, this is white culture. It's so brutal. Well, guess what? That hearing went so badly for him, he had to withdraw his nomination. Boom! They say we couldn't keep at least one white nationalist out of the government, and we did. And I credit our video with it. I do. I think we single-handedly sunk his nomination. So, Mr. Jeremy Carl, apologies, you are rather unintelligent, and I think if you're trying to advocate for white superiority, if you're trying if you're trying to convince people that white people are superior, maybe you should stop being a spokesperson for it. It's never the good ones, okay? It's always the Jeremys. The Jeremy Carls, who are like, white people are better and we are superior. And you're like, you're not. Obviously, in general, that's an extremely racist view, and that's dangerous, and we understand the catastrophe that can lead. And you also would have sucked so much of what is beautiful out of the culture of this country if you had it your way. And also, you need to stop being a spokesperson for it if you want to help the cause. And because we don't want to help the cause, you know what, Jeremy? Keep being out front on it. I think you're selling our message of inclusivity and diversity better than we can ourselves. All right. Checking in with audience. Intuition Jen sent 5 gifted memberships. Always so grateful for that. No matter how many times you do it, I'm always so grateful. And I'm sure the people getting those free memberships are as well. Mr. Gaud said, Hola desde España. Keep up the good work. Also, cucumbers are members of the melon family. Not related, just an interesting fact. Are cucumbers a fruit? Is that what you're telling me right now? Must be. Let's see. That's gonna completely ruin my day. Cucumbers are fruit? Question mark. Yes. Is botanically a fruit. Well, then, I don't know. That's very confusing. So then, I guess I don't have to eat it when I'm trying to eat my vegetables then. I hate cucumber. It's so like, oh. Government Steez said, please don't let up on the Trump Epstein files. It leads to all sorts of self-owns. P.S. Michael has such a poop-eating grin. Much love to Luke and team. Thank you so much. No comment on the Michael part, but yes, Trump Epstein files. Trump's in there. Epstein appears constantly in the Trump files. It's really concerning. And they did put a trademark next to Trump Epstein files, which is something. Chef said, or sent 5 gifted memberships. Thank you so much. Robbie, member for 7 months, said, thank you guys for helping things make sense and drown out the noise from the other side. Amazing. Test tube baby spy. How do you guys think of these ats? Mine would be like Luke Beasley or Lucas DeBomb. You know what I mean? But y'all just test tube baby spy.
Soy boy beta cuck, Luke Beasley.
At soy boy beta cuck, Luke Beasley. I'll ask. Oh, I already read that one. Carol Pack, thank you so much for super chat. Bunny Galore said, this is for Cole. Hey, what was in the Christmas present in his kid picture? Do you remember in that? Do you remember you don't know? Long time ago. I don't think he remembers it.
I think I was like 4 in that picture.
Aw, so sweet. So sweet. And then you grew up and then just lost all of the joy. No, of course not. He has more joy than ever. What was in that birthday box? It was just a bunch of rocks. And it was never the same. No. Okay, let's talk about this now. Caroline Leavitt's press briefings have been getting more and more shameful by the day. And you can understand why that would happen when she feels devoted to being loyal to Trump and the lies that he tells and whatever the talking point is, as opposed to the truth in an environment where the truth is very rare coming out of the White House. And especially when her boss and then her other boss and when this person in the administration, that person in the administration is saying heinous stuff about the loss of American life. So I want to show you this clip because it's been really disturbing watching when Trump administration spokespeople are outraged. It doesn't seem they're outraged or horrified when we blow up a girls' school and dozens of children get killed. It doesn't seem to outrage them whenever American soldiers get killed. But they are outraged when those things get reported on. Look at this.
On the Iranian school, why did President Trump say yesterday that Iran may have Tomahawk missiles when there are only 3 other U.S. allies plus the U.S. that have those missiles and therefore could...
Look, again, as the president said yesterday, he will accept the conclusion of this investigation by the Department of War. I know there's been a lot of speculation in the media about who may be responsible for this. We're not going to get ahead of the Department of War and the conclusion of that investigation. The president has a right to share his opinions with the American public, but he has said he'll accept the conclusion of that investigation. And frankly, we're not going to be harassed by the New York Times, who's been putting out a lot of articles on this, making claims that have just not been verified by the Department of War, to quickly wrap up this investigation because the New York Times is calling on us to do so.
Do you hear the words she's saying there? She describes the New York Times reporting on us striking, which we have plenty of evidence now to confirm, that school and killing a bunch of children in Iran. She describes the reporting on that as harassing the White House. She's being harassed because they're reporting on a very notable story. And then she's saying that it's bad they're reporting on it because the War Department hasn't yet officially decided what happened. Like, this is, you know how the Department of Defense, Department of War made it to where you couldn't be a Pentagon reporter in the Pentagon if you didn't sign a pledge saying you wouldn't release anything that the Pentagon didn't approve. And it's like, that's not what the media is supposed to do. That's not what journalists are supposed to do. Similar thing here. She's like, how dare the New York Times harass us and say that things are confirmed when we haven't said they're confirmed yet? What if they independently confirmed it, which they did? That's what they did. They're not going to wait for you to give them an official talking point. Otherwise, they'd just be state-run media. And remember, I mean, this, to use that language of like, we're being harassed, they're always the victims, even when we're literally talking about American heroes who are victims or children who are victims. They're the victims. You're harassing us. Whenever Hegseth said the fake news is reporting prominently on American soldiers dying to make Trump look bad. And then Levitt was asked about that.
Given what Secretary Hegseth said this morning, is it the position of this administration that the press should not prominently cover the deaths of U.S. service members?
No, it's the position of this administration that the press in this room and the press across the country should accurately report on the success of Operation Epic Fury and the damage it is doing to the rogue Iranian regime that has threatened the lives of every single American in this room. If the Iranian regime had their choice, they would kill every single person in this room. And so we can all be very grateful that we have an administration and that we have men and women in our armed forces who are willing to sacrifice their own lives for the rest of us in this room and for every American across the country and for every troop that is based in the Middle East. That's what these...
Secretary Hegseth was complaining that it was front page news about these 6 service members who were killed.
That's not what the Secretary said, Caitlin, and that's not what the Secretary meant, and you know it. You know you are being disingenuous. There is not...
So once again, we'll go through this just to show you, I don't see them being horrified or emotional about the examples I just gave you of the bloodshed because of this war. They still can't exactly explain what the end goal is supposed to be, but they will be outraged when news outlets report on the outcome.
This is what the fake news misses. We've taken control of Iran's airspace and waterways without boots on the ground. We control their fate. But when a few drones get through or tragic things happen, it's front page news. I get it. The press only wants to make the president look bad, but try for once.
That's literally what he said right after referencing the death of American troops with the drones getting through. And then Levitt denies it. It's just disgusting. And of course you have this.
Immense love and eternal gratitude to the families of the fallen. And sadly, there will likely be more. Before it ends, that's the way it is.
I want you all, as you listen to Levitt say, oh, you're being dishonest and you're just covering these stories to make Trump look bad. Really imagine if Biden came out after a military operation, or imagine after the American soldiers died during the withdrawal from Afghanistan, if Biden said, that's the way it is, and you're just covering them because you want to make me look bad. Do you think the Levitts of the world, the Trumps of the world, the Fox Newses of the world would go, yeah, no, that's fair. No, yeah, the media is being dishonest to Biden. They should not be putting American deaths on the front pages. That's probably just to make him look bad. No, of course not. They're massive hypocrites. And I saw you can leave this up, Jaden, but you can leave this up, Jaden. Trump gave a stunning answer that media would destroy any other president for. And this is, again, on the girls' school that was blown up by a U.S. strike.
Mr. President, you just suggested that Iran somehow got its hands on a tomahawk and bombed its own elementary school on the first day of the war. But you're the only person in your government saying this. Even your defense secretary wouldn't say that when he was asked, standing over your shoulder on your plane on Saturday. Why are you the only person saying this?
Because I just don't know enough about it. I think it's something that I was told is under investigation. But tomahawks are used by others, as you know. Numerous other nations have tomahawks. They buy them from us. But I will certainly, whatever the report shows, I'm willing to live with that report.
So he got caught in a massive lie and then admits, well, I just don't really know much about this. So I don't know. I was just doing sort of a guessing game. That would be a global scandal if it weren't Trump in the context of war and a war crime. And then the president comes out and goes, yeah, I don't know. I didn't really know what I was talking about, but I just kind of say stuff. It's shocking. And it's so shocking that even Republican Senator John Kennedy, who we've been talking about a lot this show, had to come out and go, you know what? I'd like to apologize myself, because it seems like the White House is unwilling to.
Though you actually talked to NBC News last night about that strike on the girls' school, and you said it was terrible. We made a mistake. I'm just so sorry that it happened. Why did you feel like it was important to say that?
Because I think it's the truth. I mean, we're investigating, but I'm not going to hide behind that. I think it was a terrible, terrible mistake. The investigation may prove me wrong. I hope so. The kids are still dead, but I think it was a horrible, horrible mistake. I wish it hadn't happened. I'm sorry it happened. Yeah, I can assure you it wasn't intentional. That's the sort of thing Russia does. We don't do that. But you know, I don't see any other possible explanation. And when you
so it's so bad, and they're being so dishonest and trying to run away from the facts of this, that you have to have a Republican senator come out and go, okay, if they're not going to, I'll apologize. I'll say I'm horrified this happened on their behalf, sort of. And then, do you know who's the negotiator with Iran? A real estate guy, Witkoff, who's also the negotiator with Russia. That hasn't worked well at all, but apparently he's just doing such a great job. Now he's also going to negotiate with Iran. And he got asked as the Iran negotiator, when does this end? Okay, not like to a day, but like, what are the things you're waiting for to happen? What would this ending look like? What is the end goal here? He literally says,
around him. So how do you see this ending, this war?
I don't know, Sarah. I know this, that President Trump is the wrong guy to go up against. That's what I know.
Okay, and then a bunch of boilerplate nonsense. His answer's literally, I don't know. How do you see this ending? I don't know. Even in past interventions that turned out to be calamities, you still had the administration at the time being like, this is what victory would look like. You know, like trying to, they're literally saying, I don't know. Meanwhile, sources telling CNN that Iran is laying mines in the Strait of Hormuz. That could have disastrous consequences. Approximately 150 U.S. troops have now been wounded in the war. It's real consequences. Okay, now I show you on a lighter hearted note, Nadia Shadalow, who is a PhD, PhD, Dr. Nadia. And she says to this New York Times reporter, come on. How am I blanking on his name? I'll think of his name as we're watching it, but we all know him. She goes, It's not in the Constitution that Congress needs to declare war.
The president can make a case directly to the American people, and Congress's role is the power of the purse.
So the case for Congress is once we have
Ezra Klein
gone to war, if they don't like it, they can remove the money.
Congress does not have a constitutional role in the declaration of war.
Okay. Listen to that. Think about someone on the New York Times podcast. Take this down for a second. Let me, PhD from Johns Hopkins School of Advanced International Studies. PhD Advanced International Studies. She says,
constitutional role in the declaration of war.
Congress doesn't have a constitutional role in the declaration of war. Okay. Listen.
Congress has a role in cutting off funds for wars, which it has threatened to do. The president doesn't have to get permission, but yes, you can debate. You can decide that's his choice and how he wants to do it.
I mean, here I will quote the Constitution. The Congress shall have power to declare war.
Guys, what? PhD international something or another? You're gonna go to school for international something or another and not know that? Ezra Klein's like, okay, here's the Constitution. And then the Constitution goes, Nadia. It says that in the Constitution. Nadia. Nodia. It does say that literally.
He wants to do it.
I mean, here I will quote the Constitution. The Congress shall have power to declare war. Grant letters of marque and reprisal and make rules concerning captures on land and water.
I think
the president shall be the commander-in-chief of the army, but it is Congress that has the power to declare war.
So constitutionally, the Constitution says Congress has the power to declare war, but the issue is whether or not a president who deploys military force abroad needs to do so only after having Congress declare war.
So then that's a different debate. And yes, there's more constitutional debate. And the president does have some unilateral authority. There's an imminent threat, sending in troops, and then later getting approval for that to be continued or having to fund it. Yes, but that's not what she started with. She started with they don't have a role in declaring war when literally that is their role. One other fumble from the Trump administration is that previously the Ukrainian government was like, hey, we've been dealing with for years now the Iranian drones that have been provided to Russia, and we've gotten pretty dang good at defending against them. And so would you like to partner on technology capable of defending against Iranian drones? And the Trump administration went, shut up, Zelensky, shut up. And now they're turning around and going, okay, could we do that? Could we do that? The lack of a very rational partnership with the Ukrainian government on something, which was presented by the Ukrainian, hey, this could help you in the future, specifically with defending against Iranian drones. Trump administration wasn't interested, and now they very much are. And my friend, who I went to the front lines with, Kaylin Robertson, interviewed Zelensky, very exciting moment, congratulations to Kaylin, and asked him about this.
Last year at the White House, you were told to say thank you. You were told that Ukraine doesn't have the cards. And now America is asking Ukraine for help. How does that feel?
Good feeling.
Oh, there's an air raid now?
Yeah.
How do you feel every time you hear that noise?
And it goes on, and we've discussed that and insane stuff. Again, crazy Kaylin, you've all seen him. You saw us doing our journey there together. Now interviews Zelensky and going, Trump kept shouting, you don't have the cards, and now Trump's coming and asking for help. I love Zelensky. He says, feels very good. A good feeling, which is kind of an interesting way to respond, but there it is. There it is. All right, let me say to Mimi, I love your commentary. She says, you make me laugh when I really want to cry. Thank you so much. We try our best. And then sort of connected to that, Keith Peavy House said, Luke, how do you not just scream while doing this day after day? Everything makes me want to break stuff. Oh my gosh, that's the question, isn't it? Who knows? I think it's the delusional laughter. That's kind of our goal. That's what we should call it, delusional laughter. Where I just sort of like pretend like everything, not everything. There's some subjects we get serious on, but other subjects I'm like, ha 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 ha. And then I kind of trick myself into believing that I'm having fun, and then that makes it better. It's the people I'm surrounded by. I do have moments where I'm screaming and ranting, especially off the air about what's going on, and then I try to bring the best version of myself on air. But it is anger-inducing. I think the things you have to remember is surround yourself with good people, because those will remind you of the best of what we're fighting for, as opposed to always just being reminded of the worst of what we're fighting against. Do fun stuff. Like, I explain this a lot more on the bonus show, but if you don't get the bonus show, you probably, by clicking the join button, you probably don't know. And podcast listeners, you can get it too. You can go over to YouTube, find the join button on our homepage, click it. And then if you're watching YouTube, that's very simple. We talk a lot about, like, we go out and we party. I'm just going to say it, we party. We go, oh, that was a tough week. Margaritas, right? Oh, that was a sad story. Tequila, right? This debate's gonna... This debate was tough. Vodka soda, right? And then that helps. I'm not saying drinking. I mean, like, doing fun things. We went to an arcade, of like a adult bar arcade, and had fun playing games and drinking. A lot of drinking comes up. I go out to the park with my boyfriend, and we walk around with the dog, and I see people having a joyful time and playing volleyball and laughing and playing spike ball. And I go, see, there's still joy to be found. So those are the 3 points. Good people. Did I have 3 or 2? What was my second point? Oh, delusional laughter, good people, and fun times. That would be my advice. That's what we try to do. That's the show. Thank you all so much for watching and listening. I appreciate you greatly. Much love. Talk to you next time.